Hello, my name is Blake Brogdon. I am excited to present my first speech. I decided to write my speech over the show Band of Brothers, which highlights a U.S. Army unit in World War II. They were deployed between June of 1944 to May of 1945. They were part of D-Day, the invasion of Normandy, and they were part of securing Hitler's nest, the Eagle's Nest, towards the end of World War II, and were part of the victory in World War II. So, beginning of the show, you see the guys in a place called Camp Toccoa, where they are training and getting ready for World War. So prior to this, the airborne unit had not been, it had not existed yet. So in 1942, the U.S. Army commissioned the 101st Airborne to start training and prepare for war. And so Easy Company, which is what this show is about, was part of this new commission. And so the show begins where they start training at Camp Toccoa, and they're under rigorous training. They're running 6 miles a day. They're training from sunup till sundown. They are held to higher standards than any other unit in the entire Army. So basically what this process is right here is kind of weeding out the weaker men, the men that aren't going to cut it. This is like the Army's first elite unit in the military. So this is what would go on to later be like Special Forces or Army Rangers or something like that. Navy SEALs, that kind of thing. So these are like the original special operators. And so they're in Camp Toccoa. They're enduring rigorous training. They're at the highest standards in the military at the time. So they go from there, they train up, and then they eventually go to, let's see here, look at my notes. They eventually will go to England, and this place in England will be kind of like their home base for their entire deployment. So they'll kind of go to Europe, to Germany, to France, and they'll deploy. They'll go on missions for a while, for many months at a time, and then they'll go back to England and they'll kind of rest for a little bit, for a few weeks, and then they'll go back out on missions. So let's see here. So where they initially land is Aldeburgh, England, and that's where they continue kind of training. So that's in September of 1943, and so they kind of train there for a while, and that's where they kind of do their pre-deployment workup, so to speak. They train for a while there, and then they're part of the initial invasion of D-Day, the invasion of Omaha Beach in Normandy. And so they were a very key part of this invasion. Prior to this, paratroopers had really only been used by the Germans in 1940. They were used in one of the earlier battles of World War II, and then they were kind of discarded by Germany. It was kind of seen as a failure by Hitler. And so this was, they were very key in this battle because they were able to drop behind enemy lines, secure roads and bridges, and allow the main infantry to come in and secure the area. And so this was D-Day. From here, they go to a place called Bricourt. I'm probably saying that wrong, but Bricourt-Benoît, which was a place just outside of Normandy, and that allowed the rest of the infantry to come in and secure the area. And from there, they fought many battles in Holland, including Operation Market Garden, and they would capture the bridge over the Rhine River, which is a key supply chain for the German army. And then from there, they would go to the Battle of Bastogne. They would go to the city of Bastogne, rather, and that's where they were fighting in the Battle of the Bulge, one of the most famous battles in World War II. And when they were rushed there, they had very little supplies, very little ammunition. They had almost no cold weather gear, and they're rushed there on a moment's notice, and they were able to hold the front lines in the battleground with very little to no supplies. And so this was part of what made Easy Company one of the most famous units in the U.S. Army. So from there, they advanced to a place in Germany, which was Hitler's kind of his headquarters. The name of it is called Berchtesgaden. I don't know if that's right or not, but this was kind of the Nazi headquarters, and this is kind of where the end of the war happened. So this is where Hitler, on April 30th of 1945, this is where he killed himself. And then on May 8th, or May 7th actually, May 7th of 1945 is when Germany officially surrendered to the Allied powers. And that was the beginning of the end of the world, of the World War II. And so that was kind of the significance of Easy Company. That's kind of what the whole plot of this series is about. There are some historical inaccuracies. For instance, in the show, it shows Hitler's death on April, what was it, real quick, let me see. So in the show, it shows that April 11th was the death of Hitler, but in reality, it was April 30th. The other thing was Private Albert Blythe. It showed that he died from a neck wound in 1948. In reality, he died of a perforated ulcer in 1967. So there were some historical inaccuracies, but altogether, it's highly regarded by critics and historians across the globe. So it's regarded as a very historically accurate account, and one of the most historically accurate accounts of war and World War II. And yeah, it's regarded by veterans and historians across the globe. So my main takeaway of this show, even if you're not really like someone who's really into history, even if you're not a history buff, so to speak, this is a really good show to watch. It's good to know the history of World War II. With everything we have going on in the world right now, it's very possible that World War III can break off at any time, any day. And just to know what war is really like, and to know what that entails is very important. The guys that were part of Easy Company, they weren't necessarily extraordinary men, but they were ordinary men tasked with doing extraordinary things, right? So my whole point is that a word war can reach even the most common of men. And that's kind of what this is all about. So appreciate you watching. Excited to hear everybody else.